The first episode of the Book of Boba Fett is finally out, so let's dive into what we just saw. Hey everybody, welcome to Boba's Bounty. I'm Todd from the Black Squadron podcast, and this is our short recap show for each week's episode of the Book of Boba Fett. So the day is finally here, and the Book of Boba Fett has finally premiered. Now, being a massive Boba Fett fan my whole life, I never thought this day would come. We had rumors of a Boba Fett movie that was supposed to happen, rumors that Boba Fett was going to show up in a solo movie. Boba Fett was going to be in this, Boba Fett was going to be in that, and just nothing really came of it until we got season 2 of The Mandalorian with Boba Fett's return, and then we get that tease for the Book of Boba Fett at the end of season 2 of The Mandalorian. Needless to say, I already love this show. I think it's off to a great start. And without further ado, let's go ahead and dive right into this little recap. So chapter 1 is titled Stranger in a Strange Land. It's directed by Robert Rodriguez. The whole episode does an excellent job of using flashbacks to show Boba's journey up to the point we know, with scenes of a young Boba in the Geonosian arena holding his father Jango's helmet. We see Boba's escape from the Sarlacc pit and eventual capture by a tribe of Tusken Raiders. So the whole Sarlacc scene was awesome, in my opinion. I love seeing Boba escape the Sarlacc pit. Obviously, we see him fall into the Sarlacc pit in Return of the Jedi and supposedly meet his fate in a slow, painful process being digested over thousands of years. But seeing him, rip that stormtrooper's breathing tube out, replenish his oxygen, punch through the stomach of the Sarlacc, light him up with a flamethrower, and then bust through the sands of Tatooine. It's literally everything I could have thought of. And then it kicks off, this flashback sequence with Boba Fett and the Tusken Raiders that we see throughout this show. It was also awesome to see the whole Jawa stealing his armor. We get those interludes in the Aftermath novels. So seeing that still held up in live action was really a nice nod to the novels, and keeping all of the canon continuity going. We also get a feel for how Boba intends to rule Tatooine as the new crime lord, including some potential conflict with the mayor of Mos Espa, which I'm sure that's probably going to be Boba's biggest challenge during this whole season. I have a feeling they're going to kind of get this power struggle, this power dynamic between the mayor and Boba going pretty early on, and that's going to carry on throughout the entire season. I already love that they're showcasing the dynamic between Fennec and Boba, and you really get that on-screen chemistry really well shown in the beginning of this episode, especially when you've got all these different crime lords different crime denizens in Mos Espa bringing tribute. So you see, the little bit of wit, a little bit of humor in that, and then Boba's still trying to get the ropes and figure out this whole crime lord thing. But I really love that they're leaning into this Boba Fennec kind of buddy dynamic going on. I'm really excited to see how Boba tries to navigate all of the various underworld relationships throughout the show. I think there's going to be a lot of different underworld kind of factions teaming up to take down Boba having to team up with other underworld factions, kind of getting a real like Godfather Mafia kind of vibe going from this show. So I really think it's going to be interesting to see how he handles any potential challengers to his throne. And he's a new guy on the block, and he's going to kind of have to gain everybody's respect. And I think it's going to definitely be a challenge throughout this whole season. Another aspect of the show that I've really appreciated is how it continues to change the narrative around Tusken Raiders, just like The Mandalorian did. So you really get kind of more of a warrior culture with the Tusken Raiders in this show, and sort of this idea of how respect is earned rather than given with them, which, again, this whole respect thing, I think, is going to play a big theme in Boba's role as the crime lord, and also him learning this idea that you have to gain respect and rule with respect. So I think those flashbacks are going to carry on throughout the season and really help to drive home this whole respect element of the show. We get awesome characters and creatures in this first episode. Everything was incredible. I thought the creature and costume department did a fantastic job. We get Twi'leks. We got our boy Max Rebo showing up. I love a good little cameo from the original trilogy, and I think that was a fun little one that they threw in for this week's episode. We get an awesome new creature in the sands of Tatooine in the flashback. And this is a little funny for me because growing up, I watched Spy Kids a lot, and Robert Rodriguez was behind the Spy Kids movies. And one of them in Spy Kids 2 is the spider monkey that looks very similar to this monster, this like six-legged, I guess it was like four arms, two legs creature that Boba ended up having to fight to protect himself and this Tusken Raider child that was watching over them while they were digging for water. I do love that there was a little nod to Hutt Slayer Leia with how Leia killed Jabba by choking him out, is basically how Boba killed this new creature, jumping on his back, using his chain around his ankle to choke him out. So you get a nice little nod to Leia in the original trilogy with that. But overall, I feel like this episode did a great job of showing us where Boba was after the events of Return of the Jedi and really set up the rest of the season to have plenty of action and conflict for our new crime lord on the block. If I had to give this rating a rating out of 10, I'd probably give it a 7.5. I think it did a great job of really setting things up, and I'm super excited to see where they go from here and how they build on what they've already shown us in this first episode. It's going to be tough waiting week to week to see how the story advances, but I'm super excited to see what they give us. So if you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to like and subscribe to our channel. Let us know in the comments if you have any thoughts on the first episode. If you have any speculation on what you think we might see later in this season, feel free to shoot that down in the comments. If you want to see more in-depth breakdowns of each episode, head over to our TikTok account at the Black Squadron Podcast, where we're going live every Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to break down the show, share our thoughts, and kind of do a more in-depth dive. And until next week, may the Force be with you.